15 Things Tourists Should Never Do in Peru. Peru has quickly become one of the most popular tourist destinations in the world. The diverse country boasts ancient ruins, beautiful colonial architecture, stunning landscapes and, of course, Machu Picchu. If you're one of the millions of tourists coming to Peru each year, there are some things you should know before you arrive, in order to ensure you have a safe, happy, and successful trip. Here are 15 of them. Number 1. Don't take cheap buses and dubious taxis. Transport accidents are woefully common in Peru, a country plagued by careless drivers and poor road conditions. As a rule, bus travel in Peru is safest if you go with the best bus companies. Spending 60 nuevos soles to travel with a company like Cruz del Sur or Ormino is a far better deal than paying 35 soles to an antiquated company with rickety buses and unreliable drivers. When hailing a taxi in Peru, pick a cab that looks modern, is in good condition, and has obvious signage. Number 2. Don't be too relaxed about health concerns. It's easy to have a slightly blasé attitude towards certain health concerns when you're traveling, but it pays off to at least do the basics. For example, you should avoid drinking tap water and treat altitude sickness with respect. Most importantly, you should have all the recommended vaccinations for Peru. Number 3. Don't always book the cheapest tours. It's usually best to avoid tours when a site or attraction can be explored independently. There are situations, however, when a tour, or at least a guide, offers a far more rewarding experience. If you plan to hike the Inca Trail, for example, then spend a little extra, and go with one of the best Inca Trail operators in Peru. Number 4. Don't expect everything to be spicy. Peru is known for its spicy ceviche and rocto relleno, stuffed peppers, but don't expect everything else to be like that. Even in the case of the ceviche, if you don't ask for it to be spicy, it won't be. Most of the time they'll err on the side of bland when serving a foreign visitor, so if you like spicy food, make sure to let them know that's how you'd like it. Number 5. Don't annoy the locals. Some tourists, whether deliberately or not, have a talent for seriously irritating the locals. This could involve classic tourist faux pas like speaking loudly in English to a Spanish-speaking Peruvian, all the while getting frustrated at their failure to comprehend. Being grumpy, negative, or angry won't get you very far here. Be respectful, keep your criticism to yourself, and try not to be intrusive when you're taking a photo. Number 6. Don't take photos without asking. Speaking of photos, if you want to take a photo of an individual, or a group of people, always ask beforehand. If you don't, your unwilling subject may well start shouting at you, perhaps with a financial compensation in mind. You should also be wary when photographing police, or military personnel, as well as their respective buildings and installations. Always find out in advance if photography is permitted, especially in churches and other religious buildings. Number 7. Don't always trust the local authorities. Many Peruvian police officials are poorly paid and poorly trained. Some border officials are equally haughty, making the border crossing process needlessly troublesome. Whenever you are faced with government officials or local authorities, always try to remain calm no matter how bureaucratic or frustrating the situation becomes. Police corruption, particularly the acceptance of bribes, is also common. In some cases, a police official may expect a bribe, especially for traffic violations, real or otherwise. Number 8. Don't buy drugs. On paper, Peru's drug laws may seem lenient. In reality, poorly trained, or just plain corrupt police officials might hold you against your will, and possibly intimidate, or mistreat you, for even a hint of drug-related activity, including possession of certain drugs in supposedly legal quantities. The easiest way to avoid the potentially traumatic drug-related hassle is to steer well clear of drugs in Peru. Number 9, don't expect punctuality. Never think a Peruvian will be on time, because if you do, you'll be let down. Peruvians view time differently, so the date you had planned for 7 p.m. may not show up until 8 or 9 p.m., but don't worry, it's nothing personal, it's just the way they do things here. Number 10, don't say Chile does it better. Peruvians don't take talk about Chile lightly. The two countries that share a border are always in competition, and while you're in Peru, remember, Peru does it better. If you want to make some friends, tell them that Peru does better pisco sour than Chile. Number 11, don't walk around with big bills. This isn't because you might be robbed, but because having big bills on you, such as 100 sols, is just as good as having nothing. You will only be able to break them at a restaurant, or a big grocery store, no one else will accept them. Number 12, don't assume coca is bad. Coca is widely used throughout the Andean region of Peru, and has been since the Incas. It was used during Inca ceremonies, and is still used today to fight off altitude sickness and hunger. It also tastes pretty good in teas, and is a perfect remedy for the cold temperatures and high altitudes of Cusco, and the Sacred Valley. Number 13, don't insult Inca Cola. This is the national drink of Cusco, and is consumed everywhere by everyone. While the taste isn't the best, it tastes like bubblegum, don't tell your Peruvian friend that. Those are fighting words. Number 14, don't get upset about Peruvians littering. You'll be in a beautiful location, at some Inca ruins or in a national forest, and you'll see a Peruvian toss their empty water bottle, or plastic wrapper on the ground without a second thought. It's frustrating to see, but not worth getting into a fight over. You can't change the country while you're traveling here. Number 15, don't forget to haggle. If you like to shop, then don't be afraid to haggle. Peru is a haggling nation, so don't always accept the first price given. This is especially true in touristy markets and souvenir stands. The same applies for taxi and motor taxi fares, not buses, with most drivers giving you an inflated price when first asked. Foreign tourists are prime targets for inflated prices, so always ask first and be prepared to haggle to a certain extent. It's no wonder why Peru has become such a popular destination and, yes, it's perfectly safe to visit. But, always keep in mind these 15 things to avoid in Peru, and have a wonderful trip. Thanks for watching. Make sure to subscribe to this channel.